Hello, my name's Leon and welcome to the video Encode Your Reality 2025. Now, if you've come to this channel looking for another forecasting video about 2025 and all of the future events that's going to happen, then this video isn't really about that. At this channel, we focus on know thyself and inner work. Very rarely will you see me doing a video that looks at the world. I take a more Buddhist approach, which is like 95% to 90% inner work and 5% on the external world. And so everything that we do becomes a reflection of self, an inner gaze. So I've just dropped a video. So in my last video, Divination is not what you think, unlocking his superpower, I speak about the 4 hidden gems that a lot of people are sleeping on because they're only focused about bringing certainty and clarity to their life through events. And one of my previous videos, how to transform chaos into a superpower, knocks this whole notion on its head, where we embrace shadow work and we stop using things like divination as a crutch and instead focus on the skills that we can develop by using tools like divination to tap into our intuition, self-mastery, discernment, and also one extra hidden gem that you'll have to watch the video for. And so this video is for people that understand at the very least they're a co-creator of their reality, that have maybe heard of things like the observer effect through quantum physics and the measurement problem, and understand that just by us looking at something, we affect that thing, we affect reality. And so when you understand this, you realize that we live in a relational universe where perception is everything. And when perception is everything, attention becomes a moral act. And so we choose wisely, we see wisely through discernment. The reason why we focus on know thyself is because the only thing you can truly know is yourself. Everything else in this relational universe is a symbol, is a interconnected aspect of self, a reflection. The universe is a mirror. And so when you take this ideology, this idea, again, believe what you want. But when you take this idea to its fullest extent, you have to simplify life into one of its most simple elements, which is that life is what you make it. And so if life is what you make it, you focus less on decoding the symbols that have been taught to you. You start empowering yourself through transformation by encoding your reality with your own meanings, your own references and inferences. This is really powerful, and it's going to be unusual for people who have been taught a very top-down, we are dictated, living in a soul trap world reality. But for those that understand that they're trapped, but for those that understand that their soul is eternal and powerful and want to participate in shaping their reality, then I suggest you subscribe, because the way we're about to tap into divination is going to be a completely different spin, and it's going to be a fun ride. So anyone that's new to my channel, my name's Leon.B.EL, and I've basically been into spirituality for about 20 years. For the past 5 years, I've been developing divination tools and apps, and I've been speaking a lot about tools that I've just not brought out yet because, you know, there's a certain order to things. And so I've released one tool called soulnote.com. Go check it out. But I've built these divination tools. Just have that ability to build these divination tools with even by myself or with my team. And I'm also writing a book. And when you learn about writing a book, you know, I'm writing my first ever book. It's going to be published this year at some time. And the first thing you learn is show, don't tell. And so instead of me speaking about how great my divination tools are and why I'm using them, we're going to be using this series, this Encode Your Reality series, to explore specific topics that allow you to develop and know yourself, and using tools as a assist to help us uncover truths that are yet to be revealed. So in real time, you're going to see an unfolding of life, of creation. And I've prepped some slides. And so we're going to have a lot of fun because I've been decoding a part of the day. And the beauty of my tools is it allows me to do decoding quickly, saving hours and hours and hours worth of time. That's really what it is. It's a time saver, but then also allowing me to put certain lenses and filters, you know, perceptions and angles, and then share the interesting ones with yourself. So without further ado, let's get into the video and break down 2025. So what we're going to be doing is looking at 2025 from two main angles, one through words and the second through numbers. And what first blew my mind, and we're going to start with where, so what we're going to do is we're going to decode 2025 two ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to encode 2025 with two ways, one in numbers and the second in words. And we're going to combine and come up with some themes that we see in terms of what it could mean. So just remember that everything that I'm going to say from now, I'm going to be using these events. So the words, how you spell the word 2025, that is an event. Numbers themselves, they become events. They become moments in time. And through my inflections, through my understanding, through my overstanding, exostanding, we're able to observe these words and understand its characteristics. This is the key. And just like with any person, they are multi-layered. There is many, many, many layers. And so one of my, you could say, bugbears with divination or spirituality is when we try to pigeonhole people, pigeonhole characters too definitively, because we're always looking to make sense of the world. And we're often missing nuances because of this desire to always put things in a box. So we understand discernment, we understand distinction. These are key themes of the channel. But we also want to allow these energies to play out, to express themselves in the multitude of colors and angles that they're able to bring. And so when we look at 2025, it's incredible what characteristics it's chosen to display itself to me in terms of my own inference. And so let's go. All right, so the first thing to understand is just the spelling, 2025. So obviously we've been on a theme of 2020 for 5 years. This is the 5th year of the 2025. So not much has changed there. Obviously everything that was with 2020 before stays the same in terms of breaking down this word. What's new is the 5. So the 5 is what's giving this newness of energy. So what you're going to see here is a lot of screenshots from my app and then also my divination tools, most of which I've built in Excel. And so this is the Sono app. And what it does is it gives an overview of the first, middle and last name, because most people have 3 names. And the first thing to see, which is incredible, this just blew my mind straight off of the bat, is that we've got 2025 being the number in Chaldean. So we're looking at the numerology, and there's 2 main ways of numerology. Again, this is not an explainer video that decodes how these things work. There's other videos. I've got a course and all this kind of stuff. I've got a book coming out that will go step by step, will teach you how to do this stuff. But like I said, this is more of a show than a tell. And so I use 2 divination systems, Chaldean and Pythagorean. There are many. This is not an argument about which cipher is the best. The way I mainly see it is that Chaldean is more what I would say spiritual and works off of vibration, and Pythagorean is more logical and works off of linear, mundane aspects. So you've got the spiritual and you've got the material. This is how I see it mainly, although I also have different ways of explaining it. And so with the Chaldean, you see the number 25. So the name 20 is 25. You then see in the last name, the number 20. In the number 5, so the number 5 is 20. So what you're going to see is a lot of mirroring. Like this is the first theme. So if we were going to talk about the first theme for this year, is a lot of mirroring. For me, the universe is a mirror. The universe is a mirror. It's a reflection and a projection, holographic. These are just theories that I have for the universe. I haven't created these. These are you know, out there. These are just ones I gravitate to the most. And so what we're seeing is we're seeing this reflection where the 5 represents the 25, as in 2020, and then the 25 is representing the 20. So we've got like a mirror of numbers. You then see that the 25 is made up by the 5 and the 20. So there's many ways to make up 25. You know, there are many ways to make up 25. It just so happens that the number 25 in Chaldean is made up by the 5 and the 20. That is pretty mind-blowing. That is pretty mind-blowing. That was just like the first mind-blowing. I mean, this is just all mind-blowing. Just literally this is, so when you go to my app and you put in a reading, there's a free version. Obviously there's a paid for version as well, but in the free version you even get this. And so I'm just seeing this for the first time. This is the first thing I put it in my app. Boom, 20 and 2025. We then see the number 9. So when you add 20 and 25, you see the number 9. So we're going to get into this later because this is more about the words, but you see the number 9. And so the number 9 is a mirroring number. In many different ways, the number 9 is the mirror number. It is the reflection number. It's the number that contains the all. So one way to see that is when you're doing your counting, when you're trying to understand the root of a number, you would, for example, add 20 and then you'd add 25. So the 9 is a mirror. One of the best examples for this is when you're doing numerology and you're trying to understand the digital root. You're trying to find out the essence of a number. You want to reduce it down to a single digit. And so, for example, in 29, you would add the 2, add the 9. That becomes 11. That 11, 1 and 1 becomes 2. So the 9 didn't change the fact that the root number was going to be a 2. So whether it was 39, 59, 69, 79, whatever number was the first number or the number that wasn't the 9 next to the 9 will always be the digital root of that number. So it's a number which is a mirroring number. It allows it to reflect itself. It basically allows that number to be itself in its own essence. So this would be similar to like if you had your rising sign the same as your sun sign. Again, this is a show not tell video. And so that's the first insight that we see for the day. Then we go to the numerology. Now, I've said I'm breaking down the words. The reason why I'm still saying I'm breaking down the words is because these numbers, even though we're looking at the numbers here, these numbers are only derived from the name. They're not derived from the date of birth or, you know, these numbers here. All of the numbers here are derived by the names here, just to be clear. And so we do that the same for the numerology. So in my system, there's 8 main ways I track a number, numerology. So these are like the classic 8 ways of looking at a number. And 4 of them are based on a date of birth, and the other 4 of them are based on the word itself. So these are the 4 that are classically attributed to the name only. So again, we're just looking at the name. We're just looking at words. So, you know, I'm a student of 7 Boma, or have been for a couple of years, and words create worlds. Again, this is a show not tell, but words create worlds. And we're going to come back to some of these themes later. So the dots are going to get connected, obviously, towards the end. This is about syncretism. So this channel is syncretism. Again, student of somebody like Santos Bonacci, for example. You know, this is someone I've known for 10 years, maybe 15, I don't know, a lot of years. So I'm a student of syncretism, seeing the interconnectedness of everything, which is obviously, you know, Buddhist kind of teachings as well. At the moment, we're just looking at the dots, and then somewhere through the video, the dots start to get connected. Yeah, so patience is obviously needed to really get the gems. But we're hit with a beautiful number, which is the 70. So when the full name of 2027, the full name of 2025, when you add up all of that, obviously 25, 20, and 25 and 25 and 20, we get the number 70. In Chaldean, that is the number 18, which is a 9. So you've got the 7 and you've got the 9, and then even in the Pythagorean, you've got the 7. So you've got the sevens and then you've got the nines. So when you're obviously all numbers are spiritual, again, these numbers are multidimensional as well. But you could definitely argue that the two most spiritual numbers are the number 7 and the number 9. Like it could be argued that all the numbers are spiritual. Of course, we know that. But the number 7, which is about cycles and seasons, and the main number that's attributed to God is the number 7. And then the 9 being the number of completion, it then signifies the end of the spiritual journey, let's just say. So that's what 9 is about in general. Now, 9 is the number for spiritual / material conflict in the Chaldean mythology. So it's a battle between, it's like the jihad basically, the spiritual material world, the as above, so below, in conflict. And so the spiritual adept, the one that is on the journey to know thyself, the one that is understanding, and a key theme for this year will be about balance. The balance between, or the tension that is created, the transformation that is created from the tension between trying to balance the material world with the spiritual world. And so a lot of my videos are themed around balance and understanding the dynamics and the interplay between these interconnected things. For example, chaos and order. Major things. Literally my whole system is built off of the interplay between chaos and order. You could see it from that perspective. That is one perspective that runs throughout my work. So you've got the 9 and you've got the 7. That plays out beautifully. Now 2025 is a 9 year. Like that's if I imagine it's so this is I'm recording this video on the 5th of January. So if you're clicking on this video, this probably isn't your first video that you've clicked on that talks about 2025. And so by now they've been drumming home that this year, I imagine, is the year of the 9. So we're saying that the full name in Chaldean 2025 is also a 9 through the 18, just like 2 add 2 add 5 is also a 9. So again, we're seeing a perfect mirror, a tenant. We're seeing all as self and self as all. Like these are themes we speak about. You see the one as the all and the all as one. This is one of the most, like, the highest truths are paradoxical. How can the all be everything but then also be one? It's hard to reconcile, and it's made easier when you understand holograms and projections, the holographic universe. When you understand the fractality of life, it allows you to see the possibility of how the all can be one and the one can be all. The one is in every number, essentially. The 0 is in every number, essentially. So you get the 7s, and 7s is about cycles, as I said, and seasons. Cycles, 7 colors, 7 sins, is everything is cycles of 7 in this earthly reality, as far as we know. 7 controls the seasons, cycles of time. Now we're going to look at the tarot. So when you look at the tarot, the card that it represents, 2025 represents the card of Pentacles. So I didn't do the screenshot, but just to be clear, the 70th card in the tarot, again, this is based on the full name. So again, we're just still looking at the words. So we're using the numbers to match to the words. This is gematria. This is numerology. And so the full name of 2025 is the 70th card, as we've established, or is the number 70. So we're then going to now look at how the number 70, or where the number 70 is seen in other systems outside of just numerology. So I didn't say that Sono tool, what it does uniquely is it combines 13 divination systems into one. There's really more than 13, but 13 essential divination systems into one, plus a few other kind of, let's say, sub-divination systems. You almost want to call them divination systems, but it's different ways of looking at one thing. And so the six of Pentacles is here. So I just wanted to decode this a little bit. So one, we were speaking about balance. This guy is holding the scales. So you can see obviously someone with prosperity. You can see in the background what looks like to be his castle. So this is a king of a castle, or someone wealthy, generously giving to two, looks like beggars, they're on their knees. So the 6 of Pentacles is about generosity, but generosity from a balanced level. The guy's got skills. He's weighing out what he feels he should give. So there's still a level of discernment going on, you know, in terms of him handing out coins. So obviously the pentacles in tarot is about wealth. It's also about values as well, but wealth and magic, like spiritual energy as well. Is about energy as well. And we're gonna come back to this, but these coins, obviously, it's a pentagram. So these coins, every time you see the tarot coins and they're showing it's the pentacles. The pentacles is the 5, so it's the 5 energy, and we're gonna come back to that because what this 5 energy is also giving off is a 9. So it gives off a 9 by its 3 triangles. I don't know if anyone's caught this before, but there's 3 triangles that goes on in a pentagram. You've got the one there going down, you've got one to the side going there, and you've got one to the side going there. So the way you draw it is you basically draw 3 diagrams. And this is Pythagorean. This is like called the divine triangle. You know, if you listen to like Ken Wheeler and his insights on this pentagram, you know, just watch him break down the pentagram. It's incredible. It's some of the most mind-blowing stuff in terms of how sacred this symbol is. You know, this is not a sign of evil. This is not a sign of evil. But essentially, you've got a triangle which obviously has got three sides, and obviously you've got 3 triangles. So 3 times 3 is 9. So this is also a 9 energy as well, just to be clear. And this 9 energy in this particular instance is shown through humanity. You know, 9 being also associated with humanity, and the generosity, because this guy's got it all. This would be the allness. 9 has the allness. This is the allness, giving back. And so again, you can see the balance with the color as well. So one of the things to notice about this again is the balance, is the balance of this energy, the balance of this giving. So when we are giving, when we're being generous, we're also being, we're measuring our generosity. We're being considered in our generosity. So often you would speak to like givers or healers that give too much and make themselves sick. So this card is speaking to a measuredness with that abundance, because the color is also gray. So everything is gray. Like, you know, you can see the cement, it's gray, it's gray, gray. It's a little bit of greenery, but essentially it's gray. That's the color theme essentially. And you get gray obviously by mixing white and black. So again, the order and the chaos, the 2 extreme polarities. So then now we go into numerology. So I personally have 11 different ways in which I break down a name, but they're so intuitive and beyond what an app's capability is right now. So we can look at the frequency of which a number appears. And the second thing we can do is obviously look at where these where these words are appearing. And so the reason why I actually chose to focus on the E, so T is the most frequent number that comes up 4 times, by the way. But the reason why I chose to focus on the E is that the E is the only letter that appears in all 3. So the E is in 20, and it's obviously in 5 as well. So that was the only letter. And so that is the dominant energy. That's like, if you think about replication of DNA, that's the dominant energy. That's going for everything. And so E is energy. Literally in science, E equals energy. E equals MC squared. It's also the symbol of man. It's also the number of man. So the 5, if you think about Leonardo DiCaprio, if you think about Leonardo da Vinci, and his Vivertuan man, it's the 5. Arm, leg, head, Allah. And so this is all about creating your own meaning. This is going to be one of those classic examples. When I look at this letter E, I see the 3 prongs. So when I think about how this number relates to energy and I see 3 prongs, is the way I'm inferring this is I see the energy shooting out in 3s, like the universe being created in triple stage darkness, in a 3 being the number of creation. You having 3 prongs that's held up by 1 vertical, and obviously and vertical is seen as the spiritual, the connection between heaven and earth. And then it's moving, E is moving directionally to the right, which is forward, which is future. So this is an energy that's a forward moving energy, you know. And so when we're speaking of, so when I'm speaking of energy, I'm speaking of electricity. So the E also represents electricity, energy, electrical energy. There's many types of energy. Magnetism is another type of energy, but I see this more as an electrical type of energy, a masculine type of energy represented in the man. It's also a vowel, and so vowels are occult, vowels are hidden, vowels are spiritual. These are different ways to look at the vowels. And so this word, this letter E, speaks to a spiritual energy. So we get our first kind of, I'm just going to start putting some dots together because at the moment, you know, these dots are singular. And so we look at this spiritual energy from the E, from the 20, needing to be balanced. This energy that needs to be balanced in its moving forward. So it's about not losing thrust. When you're projecting, we need to basically project from our spiritual center. This is essentially what we're saying. This letter E is this letter E, this 6 of Pentacles, is speaking about projecting from our spiritual center, from our spiritual home. Like, even though he's projected out, he's still close to home. He may even be in his courts, you know, who knows how many acres he has. You know, he's grounded in the yellow, the same color of the Pentacles. He's grounded with that same color. You've got the yellow there, you've got the yellow there, you've got the yellow there, you've got the yellow there. And so he's grounded. Everything that he's doing is grounded with a similar energy. And you've even got the red that represents the root energy as well, the cloak. He's got the root as well. So even though 9 is the number of humanity, and then there would be this tenderness to you know, to go out to the world, to save humanity, to give your generosity. Yeah, but what place are you doing that from? And so this is speaking to this recent theme that's been running throughout some of the videos, especially some of the recent videos, and just my own life. So, which is producing and creating from a place of abundance, not lack. So I've been saying this statement: lack creates lack. Lack can only create lack. So it's this whole idea of energy, like attracting like. And so how do we create from a place of abundance whilst understanding principles of balance? You know, these are like key considerations for this year. These will be key themes that I'm asking you guys to consider for this year, and how we navigate that, the discernment, the decisions that we make in that is going to be the key to our success or reverse failure. So then we look to the next divination system, which is Chinese astrology. Now, the way I work with divination very specifically is there's an allowance for these energies to express themselves in real time. The only thing that's real in my mind is the now. And so past does not predict the future. The past does not guarantee the future. This is just one of the ways I see the world. It can hint to the future. There's a probabilisticness with this reality. So this universe is probable. This is how I see it. The universe is probable. I don't see it as this predestination thing. Again, check my last video. Check practically almost every video, because this is just a point of difference that I believe is in the minority when people are looking at divination. Most people that I see into divination are into predestination. This is what literally my last video was about. And I know I'm doing this video today. You know, it's the first time I'm going to do a video twice in a week. I'm looking to do 2 videos a week. So right now, like I said, all my videos previously have just been setting the foundation, which is what I would call the bigger picture, which is about the inner work, transformation. I'm a spiritual life coach. And so divination is just one of my hobbies. It's one of my passions. It's one of my tools. It's one of the ways in which it's one of the lenses and filters in which I use to see the world. And I understand that everything is divine. And a lot of the reasons why we feel separate, you know, the illusion of separation, you know, I've not invented these themes. These are just themes that are ingrained in me. which is the only problem I ever see, is the illusion of separation. All suffering starts from the illusion of separation in my eyes. And reality will play itself out. So instead of me calling predestination, my intention sets the mood music for what can happen. My intention sets the possibility, collapses the waves from a possible to a probable, because my attention is a moral act. My attention, my focus is going to dictate where the energy goes in my life. So my limited company, and we'll get into this later, it even comes into the decode, is I create my reality. So I always almost have to be apologetic in many of these videos, because you won't really hear me reference the world and events that happen in the world, because I'm so focused on creating my own universe and being at the center of my own universe. And so often my case studies and my examples that I use will just be myself or people in and around my life. And I don't really apologize for that. It's just something that is quite distinct with this channel and how I am as a person. Because again, just the internal work is 90% of my focus and energy, attention. And so I've had a theme for a while. I've had a theme for a few months, which basically speaks to the snake and the eagle. The snake and the eagle. So we're going to bring this up into like today, but essentially a few months ago, I start listening to mythologies around the world. So I got my Graham Hancock hat on, you know, stories throughout the world that repeat themselves. And one of the themes is around this mythology around the snake energy and the eagle energy, and how I'm seeing that as a, again, spiritual lesson. I'm seeing it as a earth and heaven story. So we see the snake. And so when I think of the snake, for some reason in my mind, I've always thought of a cobra. The uraeus, for example, in ancient Egyptian. So if you've seen the pharaohs with a cobra on their head, that is signifying transformation, kundalini energy, you know, all of these fancy words. And then you see Horus, you see bird-like figures, which represent sky beings. And so in this mythology, there's an eternal battle. This is like the Rahu Ketu battle in Vedic astrology, similar to that, where you see the eagle and the snake, the upper and the lower, the heaven and the earth, fighting each other. But then 9 being the number of harmony, when they merge, like a chimera. So these are like mythological creatures that merge, where you've got like half man, half animal, for example, like a Sagittarius. And in this merging of the snake and the eagle, or a bird-like figure, you get the dragon. And so I'm preparing for this video, and someone that I speak to that basically, you know, is just in my world, and she basically just shares with me, like, she does astral traveling and, you know, real spiritual person, all of that good stuff. And she shares this dream with me about the snake. She says she has a dream where she's communicating with snakes, and she doesn't really know the history of snakes. She didn't really know the history of snakes, because I was dropping some knowledge to her about the Nagas and the serpent people. And in many mythologies, the serpent people are in many cultures. Vedic, you know, Vedic, Hindu, Indian mythology being a classic example. So the day of the video, I'm doing, and the only thing that she mentioned in her, because it was a WhatsApp message, the only thing that she's mentioned, had this dream, snake. It was a cobra. And my mind's blown, because it's also the Chinese New Year. So that's what she was saying. We're coming into the Chinese New Year. She doesn't know I'm doing a video on a breakdown. She just randomly reached out to me. I've not spoke to her maybe for about a month, maybe a few weeks. I'm not sure. And I've already built my slides for this already. So I've already got the dragon, the mythological creature. And this is where it gets a bit personal, but like, I know that I'm connected to the dragon. I've had experiences where I know I'm connected to the dragon. There's no ifs or buts. It's just a reality. It's an experience that I've had, a certain spiritual experience that I've had, where basically I connect with a dragon. This is like a dragon appears. and it's a mothering energy. Let's just say, like Gaia. Gaia is a dragon. The Earth is a dragon. They have dragon lines. I don't know if you've heard, but they have dragon lines in Chinese. Again, Chinese astrology. What we in the UK, because it was a UK person that coined this term, ley lines, which are these energetic grids, these nodal points. So imagine everything is symmetrical in the universe. We live in a symmetrical universe to a degree. And over the Earth are certain grids. And these grids are what they call ley lines. And there are symmetrical patterns, but then also patterns by buildings, and certain buildings create certain energies. This is a whole thing. It's a whole thing that I'm into. So I actually only found out last year that the Chinese know about this as well. So in Britain, we call them ley lines. I didn't actually know that in China, they call them dragon lines. And then Gaia, which is nothing to do with Chinese. That's not Chinese mythology. Gaia is a dragon. Gaia is earth energy. And that earth energy, that female earth energy, is a mythological dragon. And I know spiritually, I'm connected to the dragon. This is about understanding that you are the hero of your own journey. So that's not egotistical. She is the hero of her own journey. So I'm understanding that two main characters. Every time I speak to somebody, I understand that we are two main characters in a parallel / coexisting universe, multidimensionally, you could say. And so I've already got this whole dragon thing in my mind. Like, dragons is playing up heavy. I'm listening to certain videos as well, you know, reminding me about the dragon, reminding me about the snake people. And I have this like burning, as part of my decoding world, one of my desires is to understand people's spirit animals. And so probably the first video that I listened to from the new year, I think it was the first video I listened to properly, like a proper one that I'm like, okay, cool, can't wait to watch this one, is them speaking about animal totems and spirit animals. And so when I'm listening to this video, I often think of the dragon because I know that is one of my spirit animals. And when she's speaking, she's saying that she's communicating with people in a serpent language. And I was like, oh, do you know about the nuggets? She doesn't know about the nuggets. And so I'm like, oh, you're probably connected. And the way, again, so then she goes in and she, you know, sending me, this is all through text, she's sending me more messages about her dream and how she's communicating with these people. Like, how could you communicate with something that you are not? So you have this idea, like I said, of the dragon energy. So the dragon energy is just coming. Now this is where it gets funny, because like I said, I have associated myself, for whatever meaning. This is what I'm trying. I don't try to prove anything. I share information and I just let it play out. Or I feel things, intuition. So divination for me is a tool for me to practice and develop my intuition, first and foremost. So I'm not really even going for truth. I'm going for cultivating of intuition and discernment. You know, it may lead to the truth, but that's not ultimately what my main purpose is. The truth doesn't need any defense. I am not the truth. The truth will stand on its own 2 feet. So me, myself, as a human, a spirit having a human experience, it's about cultivation of energies that I can take back into the spirit world. This is me. And so I've created my own divination system. I'm doing my first ever video on divination, where, you know, I'm finally after a year or so of doing videos, maybe 10 videos, whatever, you know, getting more consistent now. And I'm doing my first video where I'm showing my system. I'm not telling my system anymore. I'm not teaching nothing. I'm just showing. Just, this is what it looks like in real time. So I've built my own divination system, just to be clear. I've built my own oracle system, my own oracle deck, because for me, that is the most advanced thing that you can do. It's like when you see these high beings, these high spiritual beings, like these gurus, like Buddhas and Jesus is, again, whether you believe the story or not, it makes no difference. We're going for the meaning. We're going for the wisdom. Yeah. So there's wisdom in everything. And the only thing we have is narrative. Our brains think in narratives. And so you better get into mythology. You are a mythology. Everything is a story. Hero's journey. And so I built my own divination system. It looks at the number 2025. We're in 2025. I'm building this video, my first video of the year, and then the number that it comes up in my system. So I've got a multi-divination system. There's 576 oracle cards That's a crazy system. I'm just one of those crazy people that will do something like that. And the number is 70. The number 70 is the dragon in my system. Like, you can't, like, that's the kind of stuff that just blows my mind. Like, because I'm trying to do a video about 2025 for everybody else, but I'm just seeing it playing out through my life because I understand how to attach meaning and encode. I've encoded with my heart and my soul this divination system. And the divination system produces magic because the person behind it is magical. We're all magical, so there's no ego there. Like, we all are magic. Everything is magical. Just watch some of my previous videos. I can't remember which one, but I literally, my second from last video, I just talk about magic and how we can create that from mundane situations, let's just say. So intelligent, enthusiastic, outspoken. But really, I'm going into this whole merging of the lower and the upper for balance, for harmony, which are all 9 energies. They're also 5 energies because 5 is at the center of a dial in a telephone. So 5 is also a number of harmony, but that number is more of a changing number. Number 5 is a number of action, of energy. Number 5 would be the number of energy. E, 5th letter, energy. So we're talking about this electrical energy, but then the dragon taps into that more feminine energy, the magnetism, essentially, which is also another form of energy, electromagnetic universe. A magnetic universe and an electrical universe, or an an EM field, MF. So we're then moving into this. We're then moving into the snake. Now, both of these are intelligent. They both have intelligence mirrored, like, you know, similarish energies. One from above, one from below. So how we see these energies are just gateways. All energies are archetypical, are seen as either archetypical when you're viewing it from the hero's journey, or gateways from the perspective of returning to source. So all roads, all gates lead to soul. All gates lead to home. This is one of my sayings. And so they become just entry points to understand where you have entered. And then they provide a map in order for you to get back to home. But the more closer you get back to home, the more these archetypes become more fluid, more dynamic, more interchangeable. This is what happens when you're ascending spiritually. Things become to merge until they become what? One. Until they become one. So right now we're in a yang, a female. Again, so the dragon, I was talking about the dragon female. It's a female dragon. And so we've got 2 years of wood. So 2 years of wood. I have a really good understanding of how these systems work. I've had to build an app, which meant I've had to reverse engineer everything because no one has built an app like I've built before. So there was no manual, there was no guide, essentially. So I've had to just learn it all myself, reverse engineer it, and then give it to my team so they can build it back up. And so we're in the eye of wood: idealism, spontaneity, curiosity. So curiosity, absolutely key for me. In terms of being the driving force for know thyself. So when we talk about like creating from a space of abundance, we need to be using tools and bring to it a mentality that doesn't feel lack. And so people that stretch, like stretch goals, like creating stretch goals, creating things that are actually going to cause growth, is not from a place of scarcity or suffering. And so one of the energies that I enjoy the most, especially as a teacher, especially as someone that, you know, helps people, is an open and curious mind. So that wood energy, you know, we've been in 2 cycles of wood, that spontaneity, that speaks to obviously chaos energy. It speaks to a chaos energy and transformation being facilitated through chaos. Again, check out my video, How to Transform Chaos into a Superpower. It speaks about this whole thing. And then you just see it take the mick the most. So I've then built my own divination system, and I put the number 2025. Now, what I enjoy the most around divination and like sharpening my sword, when I'm sharpening my sword, word, sword, the sacred word. When I'm sharpening my sacred word, one of the things that again, the cultivation of intuition. Intuition intuition is a skill. It's not something you're born with. You can only intuit something if you've got something within your reality that gives you a reference point. There needs to be some form of gauge and reference point. So intuition is your ability to go into your reservoir. But that reservoir of information has to be gathered from somewhere. Like, there is nothing new under the sun. And so the difference between creating and making is you're taking the ingredients, and creation is you're creating ingredients. But through the interconnectedness of everything, there is just one substrate. There is just this one thing, this one creation. The only thing that has been created is ether. Everything else manifests from there. And so a lot of these pulls was by me just looking at one thing, and just the first thing I get an insight from. And again, if we were trying to decode your reality, we would be looking for hits. We're looking for hits. So let's just say there are 10 different ways to decode something. And then I would be doing a video and I'm going to reveal the most potent one. But my aim is not to decode reality. My ultimate aim is to encode reality. Through the encoding, I would have had to decode anyway. So decoding just becomes a byproduct, an after effect of my true intention and true purpose, which is to encode, create, co-create at the very least. And so often with my first hit, I see things because I choose to attach meaning to it, because I built up a reservoir which is wide and deep. Basically just spent 4 years building databases. That's essentially what I've been doing. I've not spoken to much people. I don't really speak to, I'm a bit of a hermit, a nerd with this stuff. This stuff dominates my life, essentially. And so all I've built is these databases. And it's like, why are you building another database? It's because these are my reservoirs. This is my pool. These are my resources. These are my potentials. I'm creating my potential reality. And then when I use these tools, I'm then collapsing the wave. These are quantum physics terms, but I'm going from the possible to the probable. I'm limiting the chance in which, I'm increasing the chance in which something can occur, essentially. So we look at this number 2025. We look at this number 2025, and I'm like, let me put that number in. Because the number 2025, we say it 2025, but it's obviously 2025. So the number is 2025. Let's not forget that. It's 2025. We just phonetically say 2025. That's just how we pronounce things. And so I put the number 2025 in, and then reduce it down into my divination system. And the number that I get is, I can't remember the number now actually. It's like 276 or something like that. It's like number 276. The number 276 anyway in my divination system, because now you'll start to see, you'll start again, showing, not telling. I said that order and chaos is fundamental to my system. So in my oracle deck, there's 2 cards per number. 1 order, 1 chaos. It's similar to in tarot where you've got a reverse card or an upside down card. So instead of, I don't have an upside down card, obviously all these cards could be upside down, but they're not really real cards. So I've got an order and a chaos. And so the order of the day is transformation. So I've basically had this whole idea about the snake and the eagles. It's imprinted. It's been encoded in my mind. This concept, this idea, this narrative, this mythos. I get the dream. I watch a video. The dragon remembrance, memory, transformation, like the scorpion energy, this rebirth in energy, the shedding of the skin is a transformation, a new you, but not a death. It's a rebirth. It's a cycle. The Ouroboros. I butchered that, by the way. But the snake eating its tail, its own self, that oneness. I then wanted to bring some soul note into it. I wanted to bring myself into it. Because all these other divination systems I've not created. I've created my own divination system, but I'm using others as well. I use it all. Everywhere is wisdom. And then we see the Ace of Hearts, transformation. Sorry, the Ace of Spades. And again, if you were to go online and read about this, you might have a million names. I've chosen, and I'm working with references, but the word that stood out the most, or the system that I've got this from, you know, borrowed it from, copied it from, been inspired by. However, I've got the word transformation because now I'm embodying this stuff. I'm now divining with this stuff. I've got the dragon, I've got the snake, and I'm talking about how this merging causes this phoenix, this transformation, also represented by the Six of Wands, which is about victory, about leadership. So this is the tarot card. So it's the 28th tarot card, which is the Six of Wands, which is a magical card, the wands, magic. So it's like a spiritual victory, a spiritual battle, and a spiritual victory. We're speaking about the snake and the dragon. Sorry, the snake and the eagle having a spiritual battle, but then when they're in harmony, they merge. They merge. So then when I see this word transformation, again, my mind immediately went to this one thing. Now, the evidence, you'd have to watch my videos to see the evidence. Like, you know, the receipts are in my previous videos. But I've said it at least 4 to 5 times because it's just one of those things that are imprinted. Like, I'll often have themes for the week, themes for the month, themes for the year, where there's just certain sentences, when I hear them from other people, or I might say them myself, I'm like, you know, that's a bar. You know, I'm into hip hop. That's a bar. That's a bar. That's a bar. If I say that's a bar, again, because I know, because I'm building database, I'm building stuff, get my phone out, slap that into my phone, and I'll do some, I might decode it later or something like that. I don't know. But I'm going to put it on my phone as a reference, as a reminder, as a point for the future. And so I've been saying this phrase, I'm in the business of transformation. I've been saying to all of my clients, I'm in the business of transformation, i.e. if you're not about transformation, I don't really want to hear it. I'm not really interested. You're not really going to engage me. If you're in the business of transformation, let's talk. So I don't take on any client. I only work with people that want to stretch themselves. So like this is just like major. Like I'm into stretch goals. I'm into creating magic. And so magic isn't really created through the mundane, essentially. We can transform, again, use the word, transform the mundane into magic. This is, again, one of my phrases. So when I've said this, when I've seen this word, I've pulled this, I've seen the transformation, I've already done the eagle thing, I've already just half a second, boom, 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 rush, jaws on the floor. And then the next thing that came into my head, the next intuition from my reservoir was, I'm in the business of transformation. Now, when I've said that, I think it was either late or I was just late. I was decoding this stuff up until late last night. So like, I need to go to bed. It's basically, I need to go to bed. I'll do it in the morning, but I'm going to look into this in the morning. So I then look into it in the morning and I'm like, nah, you're taking the mick. You're taking the mick. I'm in the business of transformation, and it's the number 18 and 147. So right now we're still just decoding the name 2025. Like I've already mentioned the number 9. So I have went into the numerology a little bit, or the numbers aspect. I said, we're going to do words and we're going to do numbers. This was mind blowing because I did the numbers first. It's just that I chose to switch it around in the video. So I've not presented in the order that I did the decoding. I actually decoded the number first and then I decoded the word because I built another tool to help me decode numbers. And I was just really interested in just, again, taking my tools for a test run. But this number was significant because by then I had already done the numbers. So I'm now going to go and just show you the number that it links to give you that, well, for me anyway, jaw drop. And so here it is. We're going to get into gematria. So like, this is kind of like the mind drop. This is kind of like the mind blowing stuff because this is the stuff that just tied it all together. So this was actually the last thing that I did was the gematria. And so gematria again is associating all words with a number. So this is kind of like the marriage of two. So you might look at the word first, then you look at the number, and then you look at something that creates harmony between the two. So for me, gematria is one of the most powerful tools out there because it's the combination of words and number. And all we really have is words, numbers, and symbols is what I teach. Words, numbers, and symbols. And the universe is a symbol. When I'm looking at these numbers, they're a symbol. These words are a symbol. But then everything is uttered. So everything, again, it's all interconnected. So you could also say that the fabric of the universe is a number. You know, all is maths, all is number. These are one of the classic sayings as well. So again, it's just different perspectives. different lenses and filters in which we choose. And the marriage, one of the marriages of these different filters is through the technology of gematria. So we look to it and we have this name, I'm in the business of transformation, is the number 18. The number 18 was right at the beginning, if anyone's still paying attention. The number 18 is the full name of 2025. So in Chaldean, the full name of 2025 is the number 18. So it's the number 70 that then reduces down to the number 18. We'll just say there's 52 cards in the Chaldean Oracle deck. And so when you minus 70 away from 52, you get the number 18. So I said I wasn't going to teach how to do this stuff, but couldn't help myself. That's the how. So you get this number 18. So the 52 in the Chaldean. So we're still looking at the same 15 in the Chaldean, the same 52, the same system that was in the 18 for 2022. So the word 2022 is the number 18. I'm in the business of transformation is the number 18. Like that's the connecting the dots that allows my stretch. So the universe is mental. And so when I'm talking about this deep reservoir, like, I've got this archetype, like all my people, I call them deep soul seekers. These are my people. This is my tribe. Deep soul seekers. You got to be deep. Doesn't mean advanced. It just means deep. It just means considered. You can embody yourself into something. You can get lost into something. The people that get lost in things when they put their mind and their passion and attention to it. And so I do that with spirituality. And so I go deep. But then I also go wide. We've got the number 18, which again, miss out. It's the number 9. Just these perfect mirrors of this number 9. I'm in the business of transformation, being the number 18, which is the next octave up from 70. 70 at 52 is 122. So just to be clear, like how we got the number 18. So you're only going to get the number 18 in the number 70, and then its next octave up, its next level up, same family, the 122. It's mind blowing. And then we get the number 70 again, the old school, the number 70. So we get the original number 70 of the full name of 2020. We get the original name of the number 2020. And then we get the number 70, which is the Infinite Design series. So I've called what I would say so far is my magnus opus, which is this free course, you could say. Free course. It's a series of 4 to 5 videos, I think it's about 4 videos, 8 hours long. Plus a workbook, and I just give it away for free. I used to charge a lot of money for it. I gave it away for free because I just want I want my world and the people within my world to just know what I'm about, so I don't have to keep on explaining these things. Like, this is just who I am. If this is the energy and this kind of thing that you vibe with, then cool. Let's build. We could just build from here. But I need to set a foundation. I need to set a cornerstone. So this is my foundational magnus opus piece of work. It's my most important piece of work. And I've named it the Infinite Design series. And that's in Chaldean, the number 70, which is the same as 2025. So I've launched this in 2024, but 2025 is we're gonna have a full calendar year on it. And these energies bleed into each other anyway. I've launched it at the end of 2025. I dropped the series 2 weeks ago in terms of finished it. I then have my name coding. Just again, I'm just doing that thing in the video that I was warning you guys about, where I'm just showing you the skill of being able to see yourself at the center of your universe. And so we've got the 147 in the English ordinal for Sono. So my business, the website is called Sono. My limited company is called I Create My Story. I've got a product called Sono ICMS, which is like a combination of like my best bits into one. It's like, well, yeah. I call my Infinite Design series the magnum opus. But in terms of like, if you're actually coming to me for spiritual life coaching, it's called Sono IMS. This 12-week program thing that I literally just built. I rebuilt it, let's just say, like as a new version, rebuilt it, renamed it Sono IMS. And that is, I'm in the business of transformation in the English ordinal. What I love about this is that we're matching up for the exact system. We're not crossing systems. The 147 in English ordinal matches the 147 here. The 18 matches the 18 here. That's what I love the most. I don't have to kind of make these kind of quantum leaps to try and connect dots. That's not necessarily there. These are direct hits, essentially, direct mic drops. And then just to take the mic, obviously, it's a 4-5 number. So we've obviously mentioned 4, 4, 5, 20, 25, 20, add the 25. When you say it phonetically, it is 45. It's 45. It comes up to the number 45. This video will end shorter now because this was the last slide, but just the energy and just the fact that I swapped it around. So I've changed the build. I've changed the kind of momentum of the build. So I'm actually, this is like how I was going to end the video by connecting all of the dots. I've now done it kind of midway through. I'm definitely half. I'm long, but I'm further along than midway through because now I'll break down the numbers much quicker because this goes into a lot of the numbers that I was going to cover anyway, kind of independently. And so we've got the 4-5, and then we've got the 4-5 as the Sono IMS. So we're talking about embodying this stuff. How do we turn divination into a practical tool for transformation? I'm in the business of transformation. If you're not about that, this channel ain't for you. And so every moment is a ritual. Everything is thematic for me. Life is a story. Life is a play. The world is a stage. Shakespeare. And so I theme everything up in order to build correspondences. This is technique stuff. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Rituals. When is a good time to bring certain ideas into life, into manifestation? Because I can choose any moment because it's the energy really that I put behind it. But then going back to ley lines, when you do certain energy work on ley lines, your manifestations are multiplied. The energy is multiplied, it's amplified. Everything is vibration, it's amplification. You find ley lines, you find these high points of energy in the earth, you do your rituals there. These are why churches, buildings of congregations, communions, places of worship are important. And so I'm like, okay, cool. When can we do something to bring this energy into full manifestation? You know, or whatever kind of rituals you would want to do. And so we would look at dates in the calendar. That's basically it. So I've built my own calendar system. Today's not the introduction of that, but I've built my own calendar system. All in good time, people. Patience, please. It's going to take me a while to get out all of this stuff. There's a lot. If only you knew. So we look at cardology. So each card is associated with a day. It's my calendar system. So it's not, again, it's not, I've not invented these associations. I didn't invent this divination system, cardology, where you associate the playing cards as divination, and it's really important. It has incredible significance for the earth. The 52 cards representing the 52 weeks, 4 suits representing the 4 seasons, the 2 colors representing duality, chaos and order, so on and so forth. And then the 13, and then how could I forget? There's 13 cards per suit representing the 13 moons. So this whole playing deck is encoded with earth energy. My system works off of the number 13. There's some numbers that are key to my system. The number 13, the number 24 in particular are, you could say, fundamental cornerstones of my divination system and everything that I've built in Sono. So what was interesting, again, is that this card of transformation, the first date in the calendar year is the number 13, is in the 13th of January. So this is the American system. It's back to front, but for people in Britain. So the first number where this card appears as the card for the day is on the 13th day. So if you were looking to manifest transformation and you were like setting yourself up to get ready and prepare, you've obviously got things like the new year energy that came in. But early in that new year energy, you might want to tap into the number 13. The number 13 is a 13 of transcendence. So we've got these cycles of 12 months, for example, 12 star signs, for example. And that Christ energy, that conscious, if you're understanding Christ as in the mythos, that Christ consciousness, if you've heard that terminology, would represent the number 13. The 12 disciples, Jesus being the 13th. The 13 energy. One of my favorite divination systems, their main number is 13 and 20. This is Mayan astrology. The the world of the Mayan. Their calendar is built for the 13 and the 20. And so we have this number 13 as a day. So I'm just literally saying the day, the transformation is the 13th. I'm definitely going to be doing something on that day. No ifs or buts, which is 8 days from now. We then see now. So now we go to, are we still on number? Oh yeah, no. Yeah. So we're still on the name. Just to be clear, we're still on the name. It's number 70, where we're basically doing a deep dive into this number 70. Because I could have done this with the number 45. I could have done this with the number 45 as well, adding up the 225. I could have done this with the number 9. Let's just say within my divination system, there's only 52 cards. So there's no 70th card, but then you reduce it down. But the bigger the number, the less references there are in its truer form, and then you have to get into reduction to then collapse it, to collapse the energy down to its root. Again, it's not a day for me to explain and tell, it's a day for me to show. But we focus on the number 70. So you have something called the Sabian symbols. This is crazy. You have something called the Sabian symbols. And what was interesting here is that I looked at the Sabian symbols, number 70, and I saw an aeroplane performing a nosedive. Blew my mind in 2 ways. So again, these are towards the end. Like these were the last things that I built, because remember I did the numbers before. So by now I've already got the eagle and the snake story built into this. I then realized that obviously the aeroplane represents the sky. So you've got the aeroplane performing a nosedive. Now, I did say that I'm 90% internal inner work. The only thing that I've seen on the news, and I don't watch the news, but I just saw it happen a few times. Like I just saw it on my feed. Like, you know, I can't ignore my feed. Like I try, like I've got my own personal interests, but you know, there's just certain generic things that just come up on my feed from time to time. But I'm not actively searching, especially at this moment in time. I'm in my own universe, my own new verse, as I speak about. But I did notice the airplane crashes that had been happening a lot over Christmas. And even this morning, I saw another airplane crash. And like my friend, no, or last night, sorry, I saw an airplane crash. And then my friend is traveling, one of my good friends, one of my best friends, is traveling to South Korea. And I was just speaking about him. He was trying to link up, but, you know, didn't have the time to link up because he lives over there for the moment. And so I'm just laughing, because I'm seeing that the number 17, the 70th number, the destiny number for that, the Sabian symbol that links to that is Gemini 10, is 10 degrees Gemini. I think the mental plane, but taking a nosedive. You could also see it as crashing. So I just found that interesting. Again, these are things where it's like I'm encoding because I'm just seeing, I've chosen to see my attention there, but just coincidences are happening in my life where it just becomes relevant. So relevance and realization. John Vivek, spoken about this before. But essentially, life is just a relationship, the continuum of life, this transformation of life. The true transformation is just understanding it from a perspective of relevance and realization. The realization is the opportunity of transformation. But you have to have experiences. You have to live your life. That's why these things get played out. These narratives get played out. And then your attention allows you to understand the resonance. And the wisdom allows you to understand the realization. Or through wisdom, knowledge, know thyself. And so, yeah, this is one of those ones where it's just 2 ways. And then I was like, okay, cool. So let's just look at where Gemini is. So let's just look at Gemini. So I'm looking at Gemini. I'm like, okay, so where is Gemini? Natural. Again, this is just natural. Gemini, I'm seeing Gemini. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me just look at astrology. Gemini. But up till now, I've not looked at astrology. I don't really break down so much astrology just because there's so many other people doing it. Far more qualified than myself. And, you know, but I mean, I personally look into astrology. I just don't talk about it all the time because, yeah, like I said, just I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel out here. But I look at Gemini and I'm like, damn. So Gemini is in the house of the 9, is in the 9th house, the house of Sagittarius. So in astrology, each planet has a home, has its home. So Jupiter's home, Jupiter is ruled by Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules the 9th house. The 9th house is the house of philosophy. So you've got this whole mental aspect. So philosophy is in the brain, like the universe is mental. So your understanding of how you see the world will dictate your philosophy, you know, your beliefs and so on and so forth. And I always say, you know, when you're following these channels, just like what do they believe and what is their promised land? But the philosophy is that foundational aspect. And so philosophy, so I'm trying to talk about the powerfulness of this, how powerful this energy is, of how you've got Jupiter being in its home in Gemini, and Gemini being very close to Sagittarius in terms of them working in harmony. I think I know. I think and I know. Working together in perfect harmony at an apexing of energy, like a height of its energy. It's like it's basically in its highest power, or there or thereabouts. It's at the midway point. There's 30 degrees in any star sign. And so when you're seeing 13 degrees, you're basically seeing it at its arc. And I speak about these symbols as archetypes. Everything, the world is a stage. Everyone has a character to play, especially as personas, us being partial lights. So we are archetypes, these partial lights, persons. Sorry, per means sons. This was my last video. Per means sons. Sorry, per means part. Sons, S-U-N-S-O-N, same thing. We're partial light. And that partial light gets seen the most at the 15th degree. This is 13 degrees. We're not too far from it. So at its highest height, it takes a nosedive because it needs to balance with the earth. I realized that I've not really spoken about how this will be your... I've realized that in this video, I've not really spoken about how you can use these symbols to transform. And I'll do that a little bit. But essentially, hopefully I've hinted at it enough. Like, I feel like I've not been direct explicit, like if I was doing a direct explicit video. But yeah, I mean, essentially, you obviously have to connect to heaven and earth. I mean, this is the main theme of the video, is to connect heaven and earth, balance. So we then get into number decoding. Like I said, this will be a bit quicker, but we're now going to decode the number 2025. And the first system that we're going to look into is the chakras. So chakras, I've basically built my own divination system. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. So I had an idea about turning the chakras into a yearly cycle divination system, and really, really happy with it. It was the first time I created my own, something of my own, like from my own mind, let's just say, my own imagination. Really happy about it. And then I saw that 2 other people had done it in the world. I wasn't fussed, you know, great minds think alike. It was cool. Well, it actually didn't let me know I was crazy as well, you know. It's however, you know, I'm always going to find a way to see the situation as positive. And so I saw that 2 other people had created this. Great. So I've added this into my system. And so I said I wasn't going to teach the how so much, but just because this is a completely new system and you know, very few people have heard about it or seen it, like there's not references online, I'll do it a little bit more with this one, and just speak into a wider, you know, philosophy. You know, we've been speaking about philosophy just now with the Sagittarius energy as well, the Jupiter energy, the abundant energy. This, you know, creating from abundant space. You know, why not create your own divination system? And if we're in the year 2025, then that's 2000, you could say days, 2025 turnings of the circle. So we're looking at that from a chakra development perspective. So what year of the chakras would that be, based on this cycle of 7? Because we know that 7 dictates the earth and the chakras dictate our bodies. Obviously there's planets, there's chakras in the planets as well. Again, this video is an advanced video, so we're not explaining too many stuff in this video. But, you know, you can research all of this stuff. And so there is the birth cycle, which is basically the season for 7 years. So every 7 years we go through a change. All of our cells in our body changes after 7 years. We cannot get away from this number 7. It is literally built into our DNA. Yeah, all after 7 years, practically almost all your cells are regenerated or renewed, rebirthed. Again, snake, except for your what? Immortal cells. Anyway, shout out to Henrietta Lacks. So we get to it, and we're in the cycle, the 7-year cycle of will, solar plexus, sun, and we're in the 2nd year. We've just moved now into the 2nd year based on 2025 of desire. So last year was the year of the root, obviously 2024, 2025 being the year of desire. So the way I like to explain this is you've got a a baby who's learning, and they have a teacher, or a student who's learning, they have a teacher. So the cycle would be the student, like the blank canvas. So it's going through the cycle of understanding will, but it's understanding will from 7 different dimensions. And so it goes through 7 teachers. Like every year it goes to a different teacher to sit under the feet of a master. The master that it sits under this year is the year of desire. Sacral chakra, sex, gender, the yin and the yang, the male, female, desire. Again, playing into that energy. This one is just, it's playing into this balance as well. Gender. So when we think about gender, we think about 2 sexes, the duality, the illusion of separation. From a desire perspective, so this year is about understanding desires through a willpower. So I need to be courageous. I want to be courageous, but I want to be courageous by understanding that I need to tap into my desires. Once I tap into my true desires, me being courageous becomes easy, because these desires are way stronger. Like I can't be held back. Like I'm into divination. You can't stop me from doing divination, because my willpower is so strong, and I have a desire to do it. I have a desire to do it. Like what? I'll find a way. I'll find a way. So when we understand this through the lens of transformation, which is clearly one of the themes, it's like, what do you desire the most that allows you to balance and harmonize your energies, that then gives you the will power for transformation? So I'm basically, what I basically teach is the 3 gems: wisdom, love, and power. And that these lower chakras is about how you stabilize your power and charge your power. And so using these two energies in tandem is going to allow you to work with the rhythms of the year based on your chakras. So again, if I was doing chakra work, I'd be focusing on will and desire. Just again, practice, basic practice. All right, so then now we get into, so this was the tool that I was building. This is the tool that I built yesterday. So I've got, when I say I built about 40 tools, it depends on how you frame it. So I've built 40 tools and products and services, but then I've also built like mini tools. So this is just like one mini thing that allows me to do like a shine a light on one aspect, basically. So, all right, cool. So we look at the 2025. So basically this just allows me to look at the numbers and broken down into their percentages. So we understand that these numbers are basically like a family. These numbers are a family, and there's a relationship. So we're just trying to understand the relationship between things, the interconnectedness of the universe. All is one. Yeah. Hopefully you're getting bored by now on that theme. So rote learning, repetition is a good thing, essentially. So just intuitively, let's just say I've broken down these energies in terms of their dominance, broken down these numbers in terms of their dominance. And so this tool that I built allowed me to work out 4-digit numbers, again, numbers in the thousands. So I already had a tool. I've got a mad tools that break down two digits and 3 digits, like way more complex than this tool. But this one allows me to break down four numbers, essentially, which I didn't have before. I had it on my mind to build, but I just never had a reason to build it until I did this video, 2025. Okay, cool. Let's go. I've now got a reason to justify my madness. So we're basically saying that the digital root obviously is a 9. We've seen that before, and that takes up 50%. So I'm saying that basically 50%. So in order for you to get the 2 and the 2 and the 9, which is 6% roughly, all right, we can just simplify this just by saying at this first juncture is just basic numerology, the most common numerology, which is adding up all of the numbers individually. Integers just means a whole number. So we're taking these whole numbers, 2, the 0, and the 2, and the 5, and we're adding it up and we get the 9. So we get the 9. We've spoken about the 9 a lot, so we can kind of move on from that, because I've spoken about the 9 a lot. We then, the same number, we then also phonetically. So now we're going into the phonetics. I've called them the phonetic numbers because we speak the universe into existence. The universe was spoken into existence. Everything is vibration. And so how we say words will have its power. Everything is a spell. All words are spelling. Yeah, classic. So what are we bringing into the universe? We're actually bringing into the universe, we're evoking again, this is not about decoding, it's about coding. So encoding, and another way is evoking, would be its synonym, magic. So we're evoking the 20. What's the year? 2025. So we're saying 20 and then we're saying 25. So these are the phonetic numbers, which I would say are about 40%. But again, if you wanted to argue over percentage, it's absolutely fine. You may think that speaking it gives it more power, or just the written underpinning code gives it more power. You can almost just say 50-50 if you wanted to keep it simple. And so we look at the number 20 and we look at the number 25. So we get the number 45. We then have something called the theosophic sum. So this is basically where you add up each number by its root. So we'll do it with the first one. Again, this is a show not tell, but we'll do it for the first one because this one's harder to explain. So it's just best done in an example. 1 add 2 equals 3. So with 5, you would do 1 add 2 add 3 add 4 add 5, and then total up those numbers and then reduce them down. Or you don't have to reduce them down, but you take the total of those numbers. So if you were thinking about, now why is that important? Like this is extremely important. So most people that I listen to, or when they speak about the digital root, and sometimes I've heard people speak about phonetic numbers. I've never really, well, say never, but very rarely do I hear people speak about the theosophic sum, because that would be the summation of all of the energies that made up that one number. So when we're seeing like the all as the one, and we see the one in all the numbers, this would be us seeing the oneness in all of the numbers through the theosophic. And the theosophic, that would just be like the occult. I'm not going to go into what the theosophic is. If you know it is, you know it is. But let's just say the occult. This would be its occult number. So you've got the phonetic number, which is the verbal, the hearing, the ear. You've got the visual, seeing, the maths, all is number. And then you got the theosophic, which is the hidden, the occult. And that number is 21. That number is 21 when you add them all up. Or the number 3. So you've got 9, 9, and then you've got 3. Yeah, just bear that in mind. Just bear that in mind. Yeah. I didn't put it here because I forgot to change the I forgot to change the image. But again, I've just built this tool. I literally just built this tool again. So one of the reasons why it took me so long to do this, because I had to build this tool. I just built this basically. So I could just put in a number in, and within seconds, boom, get all the answer. Less than a second, obviously. It's a tool, so it works pretty instantly. It's a small tool. So when you add up all of these numbers, you get the number 75. You get the number 75. And then we look into the divisors. So the divisors, this is advanced decoding, people. Just it is what it is. If you're here for it, you're here for it. So we add up all the numbers, we get the number 75. So now we've got a new number. So we've got the occult. It's almost like when you add up the rationale behind it is you add up the first name, you'd add up the second name or the middle name, and then you'd add up the surname. So you'd add up these 3 different numbers, these 3 different words, and then you would total them up. So the same thing that we're doing with numerology, we're just extending it to this science. We're applying that same science, that same logic, and putting it into something else. And so you get this number 75 when you look at these ways in which I've explained these 3 different numbers. You get the number 75. So this would be equivalent to us having the number 70 before, but now we've got the number 75. So I could have broken down everything as well from a number perspective on a 75, but I didn't. I didn't. What was interesting is that I looked at the divisors. Now the divisors is all of the ways in which you can get this number 2025. So the key thing that pops out the most, like this one should have been doubled and squared and all sorts. Yeah, that one needs special. That one is prominent. This one is the most prominent number. The reason why it's the most prominent number is because 45 times 45 is 2025. So that's what you call a square number. So if we're looking for a shape, So in my soul note, book of soul, I associate everything with a number. This is about themes. Everything is thematic. It's called thematic analysis. So everything becomes a theme, and it's how you do correspondences. It's how you basically, it's basically me practicing the art of synchronicity. And so I associate every number or everything with a symbol. There's a way in which I've done that. I can associate everything with a symbol. I've created my own, what's that? Create my own symbols. Symbols are symbols, but like a shape, geometry, sacred geometry, really important. Sacred geometry is really important. And so the shape for 2025, two things, two shapes. But one of the key shapes, or three shapes, is square, because 2025 is a square number. So 2025 is a square number. I feel like I'm having to explain. I feel like I can't help but explain some of this stuff, even though I said I wasn't gonna do too much, but just otherwise, again, it's my first video as well. Be kind to people. So you got 45. 45 times 45 is 2025, which basically means it's a square number. So obviously 45 squared is 2025, 2025. That's really important. So 45 becomes really important, and we see that 2 a 25 is squared. That's not always going to happen. Like the chance of that happening is rare. Like that's not like a pattern that's always built in, where the number here the phonetic number will always be a divisor number. That's a rarity, is what I'm trying to say. That's a rare, quote unquote, coincidence, serendipity, synchronicity. So that was incredible to see. We then see that when you add up all of these numbers, you get the number 75. The number next to the 25 is the number 75. I'm like, shizzles. Like, it's incredible. That's incredible. Like, just stuff is mind-blowing to me, to be honest, because there's so many times where that wouldn't happen. Like, it's rare. Like, these are rare. Like, the more rare the synchronicity, the more jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring. So one of my, I said it in my first video on the Infinite series, that my go-to feeling, the thing that I enjoy the most, joy, like what joy is awe, jaw-dropping moments. And I get that in this work of divination all the time, like all the time, to the point where I have to remind myself to be thankful and be grateful that I'm experiencing this magic, because, you know, it's not promised to everyone. And for me to have this ability to encode, the thing about decoding is you're kind of waiting. The encoding is, it's within your fingertips. It's as natural as, it becomes as natural as your breath. Time is a toy, space is Play-Doh. And then you've obviously got the number 25. And then you've obviously got the number 25, which we're in the year 2025. That's the only thing that changed. And we saw the number 20 is the number 25. So it's all coming up in these divisors. All came up in this divisor. I've just built this tool. The last thing I built within the tool was this divisors. I then run it through the app. Boom, I get direct hits. Just complete direct hits. Like, oh, and then we obviously got number 9. I mean, that's obvious. I maybe even be taking it for granted, the obviousness. Like, I don't think that is actually obvious. That a digital root is also, and a digital root just means reduction. You've just reduced it down to a single digit. So again, 225. Yeah, I think I've done it enough at this point in the video. I've given you an example before. So that's it from a numbers perspective, mainly. And then we're gonna end it up now. We're gonna end it now by giving you the summary. So we're gonna go back to this, as this is the last slide. So we're gonna just make this bigger. And so desire, Mars, energy. So 9, if you have watched videos, the only thing I did watching video, I try not to get influenced by other videos, in fairness. So, you know, I haven't actually watched many 2025 videos on purpose. Like, naturally people have just been talking about it in my world, but I haven't clicked on the 2025 video just because, yeah, like I said, I want to code my own energy and imprint into it with little influence other than the world around me. So giving, desire, Mars is some of the energies, is some of the more subtle energies, and this E energy. I actually didn't finish the notes on this, in fairness. But transformation basically is the key energy. And this as above, so below. So I've got something called the words of power, which is essentially, again, the sacred word. So I've got my own gematria dictionary. Again, I build databases. I've got my own gematria dictionary, and it's only built off of words in my system. So words that I use within my system, whether it's a theme that I say or just like a tool that I've built, an oracle code, or call them codes, or so an oracle card, I call them codes. These codes of distinctions, just the name that I call stuff. I name everything basically. Think about Adam naming things. I name everything. I often just change things with my own name, or I'll give it a new meaning. I'm into word science. I'm into spelling, magic, tangible magic. So these codes of distinction, these codes are become words of power. So I've got a document called the words of power, which are just these mantras, affirmations, spells, almost spells. Let's call it spells. Words of power. Why is this important? Because these words of power, I've also then basically the last bits I've just been doing, I'm always tweaking my tools and stuff, just like adding little bits and pieces. So we're at the end of the year, and so my work has been to build my calendar, rebuild my calendar for 2025, because it ends at 2025, basically 2024. So I'm rebuilding my calendar for 2025, and then just like before I get back to the craziness of school runs and just normal life, I'm like, I've got this time off. Let me just rebuild some, just polish up some of these tools, add some of these things that I said I want to add. So I've added about 4 or 5 different things. I then add to my gematria tool. So I did this last year as well, where I just added some new words that I've been using for the year, and new, just new things to my gematria tool. So my dictionary now is like 5,700 words, I believe, in my dictionary. It's about 5,700 words. And so for the first time, I've added so much words to my words of power that I wanted to add the words of power into this dictionary. And I then run these numbers that are important through my dictionary. This is what you're seeing here now, this new updated dictionary. And so some of these words didn't exist in 2024. They only existed as of 2 days ago, essentially. Now, what was incredible is, so I'm looking at the number 45, 70, and 75 for hopefully obvious reasons by now. Unbelievable, to be honest. Like, so I've already explained these two, so I'm not going to go into them again because I explained this in the middle part of the video. But essentially, we get a direct hit. Just to be clear, this 147 number. So as usual, let's do this. This t-shirt, it's called the Masters. It's like my own design t-shirt. Again, I create my own reality. I create my own t-shirts. It's called something. I've explained this in another video, but I'll do it again quickly. It's got the number 10 on it. There's 10, the Masters. I'm into snooker. What happened here? So I'm into snooker. The maximum break you can make in snooker, this game called snooker, is a 147. I'm basically saying that this year is about me mastering this number 10. I've been saying this for the longest, not for the longest, I've been saying it for about 2 months. My intention is to master the 10. I'm going to give you the shortest version of it, but it's basically, that would be me balancing the genders of negative and positive, of order and chaos, of sky and of earth, out and in, above, below. It's all represented in this number 10 when I look at it from the perspective of the universe's number. Everything is maths. Everything is Ma'at. Ma'at is the goddess of balance. That's the quickest version of it. Let's keep it moving. And so this t-shirt is called the Master, and it's about the 10, because there's 10 red balls to pot. The game starts off in snooker with you having to pot these 10 red balls, and then there's some colors that you got to clear up at the end as well. I'm into the sport. And so the Master, so I create this t-shirt. I've got the Masters. It's about the 10. And then I've got the transformation number. I've got the dragon. So the 10, the mastery of the 10 is also the animal that would represent the mastery of the 10 is the dragon. Transformation. Yeah. So just bear that in mind when we go back to this. So I'm in the business of transformation is 147. We get the 147 here. The only significance that I myself personally have with this number 147 is snooker. So when I see the 147, I don't think anything else but snooker in my world. So I advise people to create their own dictionary of meaning of words. I have this myself. I have a database which has over 200 ways to explain every number. A 147 is snooker. I don't need to go to my dictionary to see that because that's part of my life. So I'm in the business of transformation again. Now I'm going to show you a tool quickly. I've given you the presentation. I haven't even went to the website and went to a tool. I haven't even showed you my app, for example. This obviously is a screen. I didn't even explain. This is a screenshot from my app. This is a screenshot from my app, from my report that I produce. This report that gets produced that combines all these divination systems. This is an Excel sheet. I built a lot of tools in Excel sheet. I'm going to show and prove something really, really quickly here. Well, can't prove it, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make this stuff up. Why would I make it up for? Like, seriously. When I say I built 40 tools, there's literally, I don't even know, there's way more. I built way more than 40 tools because there's about 20 tools just in this. Is just one spreadsheet. But this is how I do divination. This will be explained in another video. Again, today is not a tell. Today is just a show. So my last divination system that I pulled, just go to my calculator, see my Excel sheet, and it's there. 2029, 29th of the 12th. So the last time I basically worked with my Oracle system, which had nothing to do with this reading, was I was setting the tone for the year. Like I was just setting the tone for the year, basically. 2029, 2 days before the new year. And so I'm doing personal work. Again, this is inner work. So I'm setting the tone. And I throw my and I'm doing my divination pool. I throw these dices, my divination system. This is often how I do most of my divination system, is through dices, this black and this white dice. The order and the chaos based on the 24. My system is based on 576, which is a square number. Based on the 24. So I told you my system is based on 24 and 13 in the main. And so I throw these dice, I get these numbers, I throw the dice twice, and remember each system has got an order and a chaos to it. So there's an order and a chaos to it everywhere. I'm like, so when I've now seen this, I've went crazy. There's mic drops and then there's things beyond that. And then I'm looking at my numbers and I'm looking at the 45. And I'm seeing that the gematria for be all and end all. So be all and end all is the phrase that I use for number 9. The number 9 for me signifies the be all and end all. The number 9. It's the ending of all numbers. You start again at the 10. Just there you go. I explained it. One of my questions that I know I came down here to answer is how to marry. How do you merge this almost paradoxical 1 and 0? Or this 1 and 9, depending on how you want to explain it. And the be all and end all is that. So the be all and end all, I didn't know this, like I'm just seeing this for the first time. 2025, 20 at 25, we said the phonetic number of 2025, the total sum of that is 45, which is a 9. I, in my system, call the number 9 be all and end all. My last dice throw throws the number 9. The be all and end all. Code number 162 in my system is the number 9. The be all and end all. Go back to sharing the screen. Is the be all and end all. Here, the be all and end all. The number 9. We then have it here, the be all and end all. The 9. From the 4, 5, 4 and 5 equals 9. Now the craziness is, as you can see here, the Chaldean system is not the same as the English system, but sometimes in life they match up, and very rare. The chance of them matching up is 1 in 100. And go from 1,000 numbers, like there will just be a day where I just spend time looking at the perfect numbers, these perfect words. Words create worlds. So somehow I've come up with this theme that, again, I say these words, there's just certain phrases that I just repeat. They become my mantras. Again, mantras you repeat, affirmations you say once. Sigils you might not even say. Burn it. Anyway, check my last video. Or the video before that, I can't remember. We got the 9. Remember what did I say about anytime you get a 9, you get a 9. 9 and 9 is the 18. 18, 1 and 8. Obviously the 18 is what you're getting the 9 through the 18. Remember how we spoke about how powerful the 18 was? And then that obviously leads to a number 9. So you've got 9 everywhere. It's like you got angel numbers, which is 3 numbers. You got 4, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. You're 5 9s. I know you can even say when you add up the 2 nines, you get the 5 nines, sorry, yeah, 5 nines. Nines everywhere. Be all and end all. Also, you've got sacred numbers. Like I've seen this already. You know, it's like when you're watching a good movie, like you're watching that classic movie twice. Like I've already seen this. Like last night, my mind was blown, but I'm looking at it now, like I'm actually doing it for the first time. I'm like, I'm actually getting shivers. I'm like, raw, because I'm like, numbers are the code to the universe, the ma'at, the ma'afs, and then you're trying to tell me that we get the 9 again, and then also the 7. So again, it's late in the day, but just to make sure people are aware, you had the 9 and you had the 7 in the full name of 2025. You had the 9 and the 7 coming through the 18. So you had the 7s and you had the 9 in the Chaldean, and then you Pythagorean, you just had the 9. And then here you get the sacred numbers 7 and 9. Like I just seen this now. Like I've literally just seen this now. I wasn't even paying attention. I was only paying attention to the 9. That's why I put it here. Sacred numbers. And then you get something called the Gregorian numbers. Like this is a mad science. Co-create your own reality. You create your own reality. This is about encoding your reality. I'm way beyond truth. Use over truth is one of my sayings. Use over truth. So we're just looking at practical. You could just basically, it's like practical magic. Does it work? So you can go into the mythos of this guy called Gravold. You can do his research. Was he really a mystic? Are these things really true? I will leave that up to people to argue history. I don't argue over history. I'm an alchemist. Did it work? Does it work today? How can that theory be applied in the now? Can I apply this in the now, in my life, as a symbolic representation to manifest something in my life? And so the Grabovoi numbers are these set of almost like telephone codes. If we understand that the universe is vibration and we want to look at everything like a channel or a telephone number. So this is someone that basically looked at the universe like a telephone number and was like, in order for me to channel, in order for me to tap into certain frequencies, I'm going to see the number as I'm going to see the universe as number and numbers. And so when I combine them, I'm going to come up with recipes. This is how I've been looking at it recently. You've got the individual ingredients of individual numbers. So each number, so the number 1 would be like parsley, the number 2 is thyme. So imagine that. And we're creating this food, this ingredient, this recipe. And then this recipe creates this flavor. And the reason why I love that as an analogy is that to smell a rose is quantum. It's a phrase, a book. To smell the scent of a rose is quantum, because no matter how great AI is, no matter how great our brain is, one of the most simplest ways to understand spirituality is to say that there's no place in the brain, and scientists have been trying for as long as possible to identify the smell of a rose. There's nowhere in your brain that says that neuron here is the neuron that relates to a smell of a rose. So consciousness has this ability to smell. AI doesn't smell. It has no idea how to smell a rose. So with that being said, we have the Grabovoi numbers, which, as I said, is these set of codes that basically are there for healing and transformation. So if you wanted to attract love, you'd put these numbers in. You'd literally just write this number somewhere. You put it on your phone. You might even dial it. I ain't even thought about that. Like, again, it's my brain working. Like, I don't personally work with these numbers, but I understand the science and I resonate with the philosophy. These are ideas of transformation, cheat codes to the universe. Use these numbers and try it. Like, again, I've got spiritual ways in which I can test these things for my own personal resonance. So as I'm saying this, to be honest, because it's 2025 and this number, again, I've just built my tool. So think about so this is where I'm trying to go with it. Like, I've just built my latest fresh tool, like my latest little mini tool. This is such a mini tool for me, like compared to the stuff I've built. This is like a mini, it's like child's play this. So I built this tool. I then get the idea to add, like I do it in my original one. This is like version 2.0 then, like, or version 1.1. Like I've just added onto it where I was like, okay, let me total up these numbers and see. these numbers. I then get the number 75, and the 75 then is in the same set that talks about what? Sacred numbers. And there is a guy that understands sacred numbers to the point where he builds his own system. I am building my own system. This is what, when you become, I don't know if it's for everybody, but just at some point, like, create your own reality. This guy creates his own reality, uses it on clients, uses it on patients, they start getting healed. Now, whether these numbers, again, it is never the tool, it is always the man. But sometimes these things are encoded in the universe, because the universe at the fabric, the fundamentals of the universe are sacred structures, sacred numbers. So maybe this guy has tapped in, or maybe the placebo effect. And again, when I say placebo, that's a positive word for me. This ability for us to create magic through our imagination, and the fact that he was the one that was healing the number. So again, sometimes these people are not that scientific with stuff. Could you just put a number there, or did he always have to be present? I haven't really went deep into his research. Obviously, this guy's not science. He's like alchemist, my kind of thing. He's my kind of guy. And so that then comes with the number 75. Same day we build that, I find to learn out. The same day I build my tool that gets me the number 75. I wouldn't have been able to get this number 75 if it wasn't for the tool. I could have worked out the number 70 and I could have worked out the 45 by myself. It was only through me building this tool that I then was able to what? Go deeper. I'm a deep soul seeker. Let me just build a tool that allows me to go deeper. I ain't got time to rely on anybody else. I'll just do it myself. Like the amount of, like, my latest favorite saying that I heard from someone else, let's not even go to that story, is do what you love till it kills you. Codes of distinction. I mentioned the codes of distinction to you. My codes, like, after I built my first ever tool, I've basically worked out a formula, a way of working out the world. The formula was called the codes of distinction. It's an equation that allows me to, work out someone's personal resonance with divination and the systems that I'm building in a certain way. It's a formula and it comes up with a number. Each oracle card is a code. So we've got the codes of distinction. So I'm just like, my codes, which then goes into the Gregorian numbers, which then goes into the sacred numbers, which then goes into my systems, the two fundamental aspects of my systems, and pretty much latest as well, is all linked to this number 2025, the year of the 2025. And so obviously you could generalize all of this stuff. Like, it's my life, my story. So, but these videos hopefully serve as inspiration. Like, you can build your own system. You can use this system because it's ready for 2025. You can clearly see how powerful my system is going to be in 2025. Oh, the hoarder. Taking everything for himself. This guy's hoarding, holding on to, clinging on too tightly. Penny pinching. He's hoarding. Look how tightly he's holding it. Four of Pentacles. So don't cling too tightly to this stuff. It's a lesson there. Like, all cards are just wisdom cards. So just don't cling too tightly. Like classic Buddhist talking. I've been a vessel. These tools have come from a place of abundance. But often I'll go through periods where I don't even do divination because I don't want it to become a crutch. I don't want it to be like, oh, I can't put on a piece of shoes unless I do a divination tool that tells me what shoes to wear. So sometimes I'll just switch all of these tools off and I just won't use them for like a whole month, maybe even a couple of months, on purpose, just to make sure that my life is still as abundant with or without them. And we just do these things from a place of joy. Just from a place of, well, what am I going to do else? What else am I going to do with my time? It just adds joy to my life, basically. And I can help other people in serious ways who are not on the level of obtaining for joy. They're on the level of sustenance, on the level of survival, on the level of just trying to balance, on the level of just trying to stay alive. You know, I work with these people, stay grounded, you know, get to a certain level of homeostasis and balance to then providing a platform to then create magic in their life. And so for those people, you know, what I say becomes even more important in those cases. And so, yeah, that's kind of it, man. That is basically it, wrapping up. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm not sure my next video is going to be on. I'm going live this Wednesday, which is the 8th of January. I've got 2 topic ideas, and again, I'm gonna let life live. That's what I do. And so, yeah, with that, man, it's a lot. I don't really want to do a big takeaway. to be honest. Like I've dropped so much in this video that if you're here by now, then you know, thank you. So yeah, if you're still here by now, thank you. You know, it's this video is a long video. I don't think I'm going to do decoding as long as this, but you know, there might be times where I will do a decoding video as long as this, but obviously it's 2025. I'm trying to understand the tones for the whole year. So like the fundamental tones for the whole year, that's the purpose of the video for myself. Like, you know, I'm just recording. And what I'm trying to do with these videos is just share my life. Like I'm living certain things and then I'm just sharing with you what I'm living, what I'm experiencing, you know. And these videos are there more for inspiration. Yes, I do life coaching. Yes, I do readings, but the amount of information, in my opinion, that I put out for free, you don't really ever need to pay for anything. You know, you come to me for integration or for urgency, but sorry, for implementation or for urgency and for personalization. So yeah, like, subscribe. 4:14 in the morning. Tenant seems like a good way to sign off. To the 9. So yeah, gotta sign off on the 9. How could we not? So yeah, peace out, love and harmony, balance, integrating upper and the lower. I'm off.